that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. Stroke could be you. It happened to me. Never thought it could happen to me. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke.
What's up, boys and girls? How you guys doing? I am back. Grand Navy AM superhero. My homegirl Christina held me down, and I want to bring her on. Hey, Christina, how you doing, sis?
I'm doing better now that you're back.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that. How was it last week? I saw some of the show, but how did you feel? How was it going last week?
It went well. Our viewers were very interactive, which I absolutely loved, and it made it that much easier. But you were missed. I did, send a couple shout outs to you every now and then. Well, no, you were vacationing, sir.
Okay, cool. I really appreciate it. I was thinking about you guys deeply. Yeah, right. But yeah, I was thinking about you guys so much, but I did have a great time. But hey Trezana, how you doing? She's saying greetings to us.
Hey Trezana, greetings.
So before we get into our show, I want to point out to you guys that if you don't know already, we have a couple places that if you are having an itch to actually get more information about us on a daily basis, you could go to Facebook. We have a Facebook group called You're Too Young to Have a Stroke. And you could go in there and look at information that Christina puts up, our reels that we put up as well. Also, we are on Instagram at You're Too Young to Have a Stroke. It's Y2Y2HA Stroke. So follow us on that platform as well. And also on YouTube, You're Too Young to Have a Stroke. And basically, we put a lot of stuff out there, and we would love to hear your input to see what you guys are talking about. Mr. Doesha is saying hello to us as well. If you guys don't know, Mr. Doesha is the one that actually put the song out for our intro. So hello, Mr. Doesha. How you doing, sir? So, Christina, I seen some interesting things that you put out this week, and I'm very curious about this and wanted to know more about it because I didn't have any clue, especially about this one that you just put out. I know last month was National Pride Month for I don't know the acronyms, so maybe you can help me out with the acronyms. But this month is
LGBTQI+.
There you go.
That's
and
right.
Thank you for clarifying that for me. But this month is National Disability Pride Month, and you was breaking that down for us inside of our Facebook group, and each color represents something. Can you break down a little bit more about what that is? Because I never even heard about it until you put that post up.
Exactly. And honestly, I saw that a lot of people shared it, which I love. But I believe that has a lot to do with that a lot of people aren't aware or were aware of exactly what exactly Disability Pride Month is. And it's actually 33 years. It was the Americans Disability Act on July 26, 1990. It passed. And each color of the flag, where there's a light green, a baby blue, a white, a yellow, and a pink, each one represents different aspects of disability. Like the red represents physical disabilities, gold is for neurodiversity, white represents, you and I would definitely relate to this, as many of our viewers will too, represents invisible disabilities and disabilities that haven't yet been diagnosed. Blue stands for emotional and psychiatric disabilities, including mental illness, anxiety, and depression. And the green is for sensory disabilities, including deafness, blindness. I can relate to that. Lack of smell, lack of taste, audio processing disorder, and all other sensory disabilities. Um, I don't think that you're alone with knowing whether or not. I've seen a lot of media on like Instagram and Facebook where a lot of people with disabilities spoke about this in the sense that, unlike, for instance, Pride, which we just celebrated in June, um, this disability pride month is not a very marketable thing for people, where you're probably not going to Target and seeing an entire section of our disability pride flag. Whereas I had a great time at Target last month in reference to Pride Month. So I'm glad that I introduced you to that. And again, I saw a lot of people shared it, so I think we introduced it to a lot of people.
Yolanda saying hi as well. Okay, cool. Thank you for breaking down the colors. I think we should do something about that. Maybe do a show about that. Hint, hint. Maybe we can do something about that pretty soon, huh, Christina? Because July is that actual Pride Month, isn't it?
Absolutely. I said I think that you and I would do very well with representing, maybe breaking it down like with the colors. Like it would be good if um, next week we kind of focus on a certain color, and I'm thinking about white.
Okay.
I think that it would be great for us to really bring light to invisible disabilities, because here we are I mean, I'm not as strapping as you. I don't have a tie and a button down on, but people initially looking at us and probably seeing us on here would never imagine we went through what we went through,
Right, right,
So
right.
I'm up for it.
Cool,
Let's do it.
cool. Let's put something together. But there was another post that you put up there inside of our Facebook group. And please, guys, go into our Facebook group, interact with us, because we want to know what you're thinking about as a young stroke survivor. We want to give you more information to help you out on your journey. But you put something out there pretty interesting and made it morph into what we're going to do today is about traveling. And you put a post out there saying, it's not about the destination of the travel. It's about finding yourself when you travel, or I'm paraphrasing that. Let's talk about that a little bit. What was your thoughts when you actually saw that?
Well, I knew that our topic was going to be traveling today, and I saw it and I was like, how perfect, because that's essentially what we need to be speaking about. And it actually is. Everyone thinks traveling teaches you about the world,
Right.
but I think it teaches you more about yourself. It absolutely does. And I mentioned, because again, you weren't here last week.
I was traveling.
You were traveling. You were gathering the information for today's podcast for us, which is great. I think it's a perfect topic for us, because the week prior to that, I was traveling. Although I still did the podcast. Did you see that? I still did the podcast while traveling. That's
Hey, because you're super and you're awesome. You're the best person on earth. That's why you can do that. I'm not as good and talented as you.
While I was traveling, I did the podcast, but you and I spoke a little bit and kind of recapped and was like, there's a lot that goes into traveling after all of this. Well, speaking of which, as far as traveling for you, since you were the one who just got back, how long were you traveling for? And you took the train, right?
Yeah, it was somewhat like a bucket list for myself and my daughter. When I first had my stroke, I was supposed to go somewhere. I wanted to. That was one of my bucket lists as well. Going to every NFL football stadium across the country, and I was supposed to go to Miami with my daughter to see the Dolphins play. but something happened. She got in trouble or she got into punishment, so we couldn't go. And right then I was like, man, this is really messed up because I don't know the next time I'm gonna be able to do something like this. So 5 years later, it was the first time I had that opportunity, and the choice was come up to New York and go to New Jersey, go to American Dream. That's like the second largest mall in the United States that has a water park, ski slope, amusement park, so and so and so on. Or go on the oldest route on Amtrak called the Sunset Express, like from New Orleans all the way to Los Angeles. And she said, okay, let's do that. And it was 46 hours train ride from New Orleans to Los Angeles. And it was exactly what I expected. It was time for me and her to actually get to know each other because we've never been together by ourselves. It's always been her mother, her sister, and myself. It's never been me and her. So we had a chance to actually see who we are and bond from there. So it was an excellent trip.
I
Look at
love
you about to
that.
cry. You don't cry. There's no
No,
crying in
I
baseball.
love that. I mean, I texted you. I said, I checked on you and I said, I love this for you, but I absolutely more than anything love this for her.
Right.
Um, because I feel just like that quote, I feel like, she learned a lot about herself and for you. So being that this is you're too young to have a stroke, right? What do you feel like you did not prepare yourself for this trip?
Um, what I didn't prepare myself for. I look a little bit different than that, Christina. I don't really anticipate anything. I just be in the moment. But there was one thing about the trip that caught me off guard, and I couldn't do anything about it. We didn't get a cabin; we did general boarding, and that was a mistake because everybody and their mama could go on a train, even homeless people or drug addicts or alcoholics, and it smelled like that. So I didn't anticipate that. In 46 hours, I'm smelling that on the train. Me and my daughters, going through that. But it still was a good thing because she got a chance to see how I used to travel to support her mother, and her sister when they was younger. I'm like, I used to stay in roach motels and didn't know how I was going to get home. So you guys could have something to eat. So you could either live like this, or you remember how I used to take you on first class flights. Now you have to make a decision. What do you want to live like? And she actually seen that. So I don't know if I was anticipating anything, but that's what I experienced. What about you? Because you said you went somewhere last week. What was that like for you?
Well, the week before you,
Mm-hmm.
I took a road trip um, to New Jersey. I went home. Of course, I reside in Florida, but home for me is New Jersey. Home is a feeling, not a place, right? So I went home. On the way there, we stopped in Pennsylvania and I got to see my beautiful mother who suffers from dementia. I got to see her a couple times while I was up there. And I took my partner to New York City for the first time. I wasn't ready. That ride, you weren't here last week. However, there was a viewer that was right here with me when it came to, I think actually there were several about feeling the loss of control being in the passenger seat. So it's me, um, it's Dee, and the dog's in the back. And I had no control. And that's it says it's a 15-hour ride. However, you're stopping for gas. I have the two dogs. We're stopping to let them run out. Um, it's definitely a rough trip. And I can say I did that trip prior to my stroke by myself a couple times. No problem. This
Whoa. You drove 15 hours by yourself?
by myself. That's how I moved down to Florida, by myself.
Wow. Okay.
And I actually drove back up home by myself, and obviously back down when I went up to visit. I believe like the first year that I moved down, um, I absolutely am not able to do that by myself anymore. So thankfully, I am with somebody who is up for it. That's a long ride.
It is a
And
lot.
extremely. And the amount of anxiety of not having control and driving through these random states that what if something happens to me? Where am I? How do I prepare? It's it's a lot. A lot goes in for it. So I don't think there's a way of preparing for that. It's you just got to go.
So we're talking about anxiety now, dealing with being out of control and allowing whomever or whatever to control where we're going and not liking it. Is that a contribute to what the stroke did to us, or did you feel that way even before that?
No, I did not feel that way before before the stroke. Again, you weren't here last week, but
Yes, I wasn't. I was in Disneyland.
the moment I get to jab that, I'm jabbing. Last week I had mentioned that because I'm blind in my right eye, sitting passenger side is crazy to me. It freaks me out because I obviously my peripheral vision is gone. So all I'm looking at with my left eye is what the driver is looking at. So when things are coming up on the right, or like it just gives you this whole sense of anxiety. Now, while I'm driving, because I have huge mirrors and things, I'm good. But driving in the passenger side is rough. One of the viewers had mentioned that they get a lot of slack from their family about their anxiety being in the vehicle. And I gave them some tips of what I do sitting passenger side. I don't know if you viewed the whole thing, but I mentioned that I pick a car and I read their license plate and I try to make words from their license plate.
Oh, you do? You keep yourself busy.
Yeah, I have to, or else I'm freaking out the whole time.
I know whenever I drive, people still make me drive no matter what. Even right after my stroke, they make me drive. I'm still the driver, no matter what. I don't get it. But hey, they trust it. So they let me drive. I drive. We have a question.
How were your travels to New Jersey different from before you had your stroke? Biggest thing is I was present. Um, I believe when I first went up there, it was about me driving around and seeing everyone and doing all these things, going out, um, where only a handful of people knew that I was coming up, because those were the handful of people that I knew within that short time frame that I would be able to spend time with. I really made sure that I was present. I think that's the biggest thing, um, to ensure that I myself put myself in a position where I emotionally um, was able to interact with people and be present. And of course, like I just was just ranting about, I do not like sitting passenger side in a vehicle. I do not feel safe. It does not matter. I don't feel safe. I don't.
I think I don't have an answer to this because I didn't travel to New Jersey. But what's happening is when we are traveling, like you said, lack of control, not understanding what's going to happen because you can't control what the person is going to do. I used to live work with my dad. Well, I didn't really work with. I went to work with him, and he's a truck driver, and he used to drive across the bridge called. There's a bridge in the Bronx called the Triborough Bridge and the Whitestone Bridge, and he used to be on the right side, and you could see the water underneath. It's like you're about to fall in, but as a passenger, it seems scary. But as you're a driver, it doesn't because you know how much room you have. Just as a passenger itself, you just don't know because you don't have control. So I never really had that issue like you're saying right now. But I think um, what people get caught up on is they have this anxiety before they start traveling that they're not going to be in control. They're not going to have what they want or someone that has to take care of them. And I think that is a major thing that we have to help people with when they start traveling. Because I think a lot of people want to go outside. A lot of people want to go on airplanes. Some people are scared to go on airplanes. Some people don't want to go on airplanes because of their shunt, things of that nature. See what I'm saying? So I think it's more about dealing with those anxieties and how do we actually deal with those anxieties beforehand. So, like you said, be in the present. What do you recommend to be in the present, even before you get in the car?
I had to think about why I was going there. This trip in particular was pretty anxiety filled because it was like down to the wire as far as um, how long I was going to be able to be there and things of that sort because of work and just timing. But really understanding why you're going up there and being present and being present is all I can say. You have to be present. You have to want to go up there and make sure that you're taking these trips because it's whether it's something you want to do, just like that quote, um, you're learning more about yourself than you are where you're going to travel and understand you're doing this for yourself first. It's easy when people hear that you're coming up, everybody wants to see you, or, they may feel some type of way that you're not able to, but not understanding. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to recuperate after a stroke, to travel, to emotionally deal with all these people, to be in different places. More importantly, to be away from your safe zone. I am hundreds of miles away from my neurologist, hundreds of miles away. If something happens to me, I need to get on a plane, right? To get to
Right.
my neurologist. Um, that takes a lot. That's not, oh, your primary care doctor. It takes a lot for me to do that. And I have to, for myself, I remember why I'm going up there and what I want to feel when I go up there. I wanted to feel my mother. I wanted to see her. I wanted to smell her. I wanted to lay on her. I wanted to make her smile. You know, I unfortunately didn't get to see all my, people that I wanted to see. Um, but I know that they know the ones that, I am in communication with, like there was a lot going on. I felt like crap being up there. All that air, the pressure in my head, everything.
It sucks up here.
Yeah, no, the air, I felt it. Roselle, hey. And Roselle states, I think this is something a lot of people can learn from. Managing anxiety and being present is a struggle for many, including myself. I can't imagine how it is for you guys. Thank you, Roselle.
Thank you, sister.
Um, it's a lot. I mean, again, I'm sure that we'll be able to bring forth to that next week because like I said, I would like for us to speak about invisible disabilities. I joke around, I'm very charismatic, but I am a stroke survivor. I have brain damage. I am blind. I have hydrocephalus. These things are real. And I have anxiety. I have PTSD. I freak out. I'm leaving my safety to come up
Yeah.
and be around people like you. You know, that was, did you feel any type of leaving your safety net going with your daughter on a train?
Nope. Um, but I had that before. When I went to Jamaica, I was very scared because I'm like, I'm going to a different country, and the same thing that you was bringing up. You're so far away from your neurologist. You're so far away from medical attention. I'm like, I'm going to a different country, and I'm not sure if they understand what's going on with me. Do I have to re-explain? Like, I know you have done this before. Every time I go to a new doctor, I have to explain everything that's going on with me, so they got give me the proper diagnosis and actual treatment. And I was scared that I was going to have that problem when I went to Jamaica, but I think we're touching on it and we're talking about it a whole lot. And I think this is what people need to understand. 90% of what we're going through is in our head. We're making up more issues than it is. We building up those anxieties. Not necessarily that if we go, we're going to get sick. We're anticipating because that's what we have to do. But if it happens, it happens. I know when the first time I had my stroke, my AVM ruptured, I wasn't prepared for that. And I was being taken care of. So I think what I had to start doing afterwards, once I got comfortable out there, because I was out there for 3 months. Once I got comfortable out there, I stopped putting those things inside of my head and start putting those stressors inside of my head about, hey, I'm in a foreign country. What happens if I get sick? Because I did get sick out there, and I was still okay. Something really bad happened to me out there, medically wise, and I was still okay. So I stopped putting those barriers in front of me and start enjoying the moment. Because if it happens, I pray. I got my ancestors. Hopefully they will protect me and guide me to the right people to take care of me. But for me to keep on putting that stress on top of it, I'm not enjoying my trip. I'm not in the present. So when I went with my daughter, it was a totally different experience because I had already been through that already. Because I think that's what you was talking about with your post inside of our Facebook group. It's not about, the places you're going, and that is the great thing. Is about yourself, learning about yourself. So I learned about myself that I can take care of myself being outside of my environment. And once I did that, took that Band-Aid off, the next time I'm in another environment that I'm not in control of, it's much easier. So it was easier for me this time around. And I got to enjoy my daughter. And she got to enjoy me.
Same with me. The first time I went up to New Jersey, when I drove up, it was a very difficult trip. I already had all this anxiety because I was going to see my mother, who again suffers from dementia. And I hadn't seen her in a couple of years. And this was going to be the first time I saw my mother physically in this state.
Right.
And I know I truly haven't really processed that, but I know this second trip, um, I was ready. I was there to be present. I wasn't going there to cry like I did the first time. I was a mess. Um, I really enjoyed my time with her and really took that in. Same thing with, my friends. I got to be involved to a friend who's like a sister to me and be there for a baby shower.
Right.
And, taking my partner to New York City who's never been and seeing her be a tourist, riding a horse. I rode a horse, Greg.
You
I
rode a
got on a
horse.
horse.
You rode a horse.
I got on a horse. I haven't posted pictures yet, but I rode a horse, being present. And even that, like this trip around, I was really about being present, even not feeling good, even in, the thoughts like I'm so far away if something happens to me. Um, all of which I honestly can say this trip around, I really felt completely present. I really pushed myself to do that. And it wasn't easy. But again, I felt like, when's the next time I'm going to be able to do this? When's the next time I'm going to see my mother? When's the next time I'm going to hold my mother? I'm going to kiss my mother. When the hell would I ever get back on a horse? Never.
You never come back on the horse? Never?
No, I'm good. Me and Percy are cool. We're good.
Yo,
That we're
you
good.
know the name of the horse and you don't like him? Him or her?
I sure do. But believe it or not, it's the same name as my friend whose name you messed up, Saida's father's. I texted her. I said, you know what? That's the universe. Of all the names, my horse's name was Percy. So the whole time I was on him, I was like, Percy, hold me down. Hold me down, Percy. I can't fall. But on that horse, all I'm thinking is, if I fall, I planned it out. I'm going to make sure I fall to my right because my shunt's on my,
You're preparing your fall.
Listen, I was ready. If Percy wanted to act up, I was ready. But being present in that and being able to, again, I'm still taking all that in. I don't know if you were able to take all that in, but one of the things with traveling in general with people, make sure you're be in that moment, but take little photos here and there so you can take time to process it. I'm still to this day right now going through my phone and really, I'm like, I can't believe Dee Dee Bombers got me on a horse. Like, what is wrong with her? I love her. That's my sister. But really, a horse? We couldn't go do yoga? No, but I did it.
No yoga,
and
horses.
Huh?
Horses, no yoga, horses.
Horses. And then going into New York City, I remember, listen, that was a different experience. It was fun. Dee loved it. She was very much a tourist.
Tell us more.
She was very much a tourist. And it was a lot. The people, the walking, the air quality. It was a lot. It was a lot to take in. But what can we say to our viewers as far as, stroke survivors who are traveling? All of which, all this craziness I'm talking about, I loved every second of it. Every second that I didn't feel good, every second that I felt like I wanted to fall apart, especially when I saw my mother and had to leave my mother, I was present. Being present is so important. And I think that's how I got through it.
I get it. I think for me, with all of that being said, this has been a journey for me even before I started to say, okay, I'm going to go here, go there. I just know when I was in my hospital bed and I couldn't walk, I was determined not to be in that same position again and not being able to say, I did this, I did that, if I got the next opportunity. So it was more about being grateful that I'm able to walk again. I'm grateful to go somewhere with my daughter. Grateful that I was able to get into an airplane. So I didn't allow the other stuff that I used to have before in my life to hold me back because I was so grateful that I was able to do the things now. I'm gonna talk about you and I in just a second. Like, I'm grateful for the people and the friends that I know. So I go to travel. I went to LA and I saw a couple of stroke survivors that I know from Instagram, Kenya and Betty. And I even haven't met you yet, but I felt like I already have. And the reason why I say that is that I've been so concentrating on my spiritual journey that I have gone places that my physical body hasn't gone to. And I can say the same thing that you have with me, because there's been a couple of times, and guys, I'm telling you, this is really trips me out whenever she does this. And I don't know if she really understands how much it trips me out. But there's been a couple of times that I was in the hospital. In the hospital. And Christina would text me, like, Greg, are you okay? I'm like, what the hell? See, I just felt something. I was sleeping. I woke up. I felt something was wrong with you. I'm like, how did she figure that out? Like, something is wrong with me. And she knew that instantly. So it's like we do different types of traveling that outside of the physical form. And that's how it's prepared me to even go out and deal with other people, because I have people out there that have gone on these spiritual journeys with me and understand who I am. So I want to see more in my physical being. So when I get there in the physical and I see Christina in the physical, I can see her. I'm looking, I'm like, I already know everything about you. I know how you look. I know how you smell. I know what kind of things you do, because we've been there spiritually. So that's why when I do travel now, I don't have any doubts or any expectations or, anything outside of normal, because I already been there. And it sounds weird, but I have already been there. I know what it's going to be like. So I just enjoying my body's catching up to my spiritual mind. And I know that seems a little bit far-fetched, but what I'm saying to you guys is that once you start letting yourself go and just being free, because what we have talked about is a lot of things that we hold ourselves back with our anxiety. But once we really jump past that and know that this world is out there for us and we want to see everything in this world, we can enjoy ourselves. Christina said something very interesting. She said smell. She wanted to feel her mother. She wanted to smell her mother. You can't do that on the phone. You can't do that through, a Skype call or, StreamYard call. You can't do that. It's so much deeper once you actually do it for yourself, because now you go like, oh, now I know how this is. Like she said, the sky was, the air quality was rough. She can't explain that to nobody. You have to experience it yourself. So what we're saying here, guys, is, you're stuck in your house and you have these anxieties. You don't want to deal with people. You don't want to go outside. But deep down, you're like, yeah, I want to be there. I want to see this. The only thing that's holding you back really is you. Christina said she couldn't drive to New Jersey and she wanted to go to New Jersey. What happened? She found a partner that is willing to drive there, because she's not going on the airplane. There were so many things that's not going to happen for Christina. She's not driving. She's not getting on the plane. So how's she getting to New Jersey? That's what I'm saying. We put ourselves in a different plane. That's why me and her connect so well, because we manifest things and these things come in. So all this stuff is happening for Christina. It's not because she has doubt. It's because she believes in herself, in her spirituality, and she makes it come to fruition. So that's what we're saying to you guys. I know it's rough. You probably can't walk. I was in the same place. You probably can't see. Christina's partially blind. That's not an excuse. You got to stop saying these things can't not happen and say they will happen, and keep on saying that to yourself. And eventually, it might not be in the scope or the spectrum that you think it might happen in, but eventually it will happen. I wanted to go across the country. I wanted to hang out with my daughter. It happened. It happened. By the end of the trip, my daughter don't like to be touched. By the end of the trip, she laying her head on my shoulder. I'm like, man, I arrived. I'm a dad. And she's 16, 17 years old. And she never did that. I melted. So these are the things that, once you prepare yourself and put yourself in that position, then everything starts coming into you. But once you start having that doubt, once you start saying, nah, it can't happen, I don't want to do this, how can anything happen when you put it in a seed of doubt in the whole entire pot? Nothing's going to come out of it. So
Wait it out. Even what you say in your minds, even if you don't say it out loud, it does,
Absolutely.
Who would have thought, I've been with other partners who were about flying. I'm petrified of flying. I don't want to go on a plane.
Why?
I don't want to. I did it once. I actually did it once after my stroke. I got on a plane, my friend Saida's father passed. And I didn't have anyone in my life that was going to offer to drive me up there or go up there with me. Now I was like, that's my sister and I know she needs me. And I got on that plane and it was awful. It was bad news bears. It was bad news bears. It's going to take something bam, bam for me, but I'll do it. I'll do it if I have to, but know that it takes a lot to make that decision because I will tell you, I was afraid for my life. I was scared. I was scared the whole time. It was awful.
Well, hold on,
But I
hold on.
made it.
Why? Why are you
I
scared?
had VP shunts. The pressure from being up in the air really bothered me. The pressure behind my eyes was really rough. It took me, once I got to New Jersey, it took me like 2 days to kind of recuperate from it. And then I'm also now in a hole, again, hundreds of miles away, that just in case of the pressure, because I have a programmable shunt, if it moved, I just can't go to a random neurologist to check, my shunt. I remember when I got back, I went and got checked. I think it was off a little bit, nothing crazy, but I definitely felt a difference. Being up in the air for me personally, with the programmable shunt, I felt it, and I didn't like it. No me gusta.
Okay.
I'd rather be in a vehicle.
So I
You wanna
got the
talk
same.
about
I got the
nursing
same
home?
thing as you do. I got the same thing as you do, but I think the only difference between you and I is that you still have your AVM. Am I right?
Mine's coiled.
Yeah, yours is coiled, and I guess that could be a major thing that's going inside your head. But let me ask you, and I'm being 100% serious here. Is it more your fear, or is it actually did your doctor say that you shouldn't fly at all?
Both. It was both at the time. Um, I was going through a transition of finding out, because it is a programmable shunt, of where I should be as far as the numbering goes.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, my shunt is what essentially keeps me alive, right? It sucks out my cerebral fluid that's surrounding my brain and goes down into my stomach so I can release that fluid. Because if not, my brain drowns, right? And then I will go brain dead. And if your brain is dead, you're dead. So we were in the middle of kind of figuring out what a good numbering would be, as far as, how much of the fluid and things of that sort should be coming out. And I had to go every 2 months. So right when I went to go up there for Saida's, I was right in the midst of trying to figure out what the balance was. I'm sure if I did it now, I would probably be okay, but I'm also afraid of heights. Um, Even though I'm 4'11", but my personality is 6'8", I am petrified of heights. I'm sure it's a mixture of both. The fact that I wasn't 100% with what my numbering should be, and then my own fear, a mixture of both. But I went, right?
Yeah,
I went and I was present and I was there, and I was there where I wanted to be.
So was it worth it?
Absolutely.
So why won't you do it again? I feel like I'm doing a psychoanalyst on you.
You're not. It's probably because your tie's too tight. Anyways. I wouldn't say I wouldn't do it again. The difference is that I have somebody in my life that is open to driving up there with me. so many people that have been in my life knew how afraid I was of flying, or, that I really wanted to get up there to see my mother. And I really feel like I manifested a partner that,
Right,
even just in conversation, was like, I love road trips. I'll
right,
drive up to Jersey. Hence, I've been up there twice.
right, right,
So
right.
it was meant for that. So I honestly wouldn't say. So if anybody wants to invite me at home for something big and you want to pay for my plane ticket, I'll do it, first class probably. But I'll suck it up, you know.
It has to be first class, though. It has to be first class.
I'll do what I need to. However, it just so happens to be that I had the opportunity of taking the route, which gave me a little less anxiety, a little bit. A little bit. What? Oh, you like the first class?
Yeah, the first class. I'm dying
I
for that.
stretched my legs out. I already told you I'm 6'8".
Yeah, you're
I
6'8".
stretched it out
Absolutely,
a little bit.
absolutely. Because all those other seats are too small for you. Um, so no, seriously, like, but if you wanted to go to Puerto Rico or Jamaica, would you go?
Am I on first class?
I don't know. Just would you go? Seriously.
Yes, I would. I would. I would be present because this is my second roundabout, right?
Right.
And I know how important it is to really be in the moment. And I don't know when the next time would be that I would be able to experience Jamaica again
Right.
or to go to Puerto Rico again. So I absolutely will. That that feeling of the experience overshadows my fear.
You know, that brings up an interesting story that I have for you. When I was on this train trip with my daughter, uh, we had we had to wait for another train from Chicago to connect with us so we could go to LA and San Antonio. And this was at 12 o'clock at night. And at San Antonio, you have the Riverwalk and you also have the Alamo. So I was with my daughter and she wanted to go to sleep. I was like, nah, you got to get up. We got to go and see these things. I don't know the next time we're going to be able to have this opportunity to see these things. We're going to be here for 3 hours. We might as well just get out and walk around the city. The city, I love the city. It's a very friendly city. It was like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was still lively, and there was police presence out there. It was pretty safe. It's a really safe city. And she was grumpy about it the whole time. We had to walk like 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. She was grumpy the whole time. But then when we got back on the train and she started to think, she was like, Dad, I really thank you for taking me out there because, I seen things that I probably won't ever see again.
Mhm.
And since you was able to convince me to go, I'm very happy about that. I'm sorry that I gave you a hard time. So it's the same thing that you just said. You don't know the next opportunity that you have. We didn't know that we was going to have a stroke that day. We didn't wake up that morning and say, you know what? Today's our day. We're going to have our stroke. We had plans. We had things that we wanted to do. So you have that opportunity. Don't waste it. There's a reason why the opportunity is there. So if you have it, go travel. If you are a person that want to see a nice concert and you have some kind of issues with sensory and it's too much for you, find out a way if you can actually have headphones that you actually can listen so you can tune everything else out. But if you want to be at that concert, be at that concert. Whatever it is, just go out and live your life. Because and I'm talking to everybody that's watching now, because you do not want to be on your deathbed and be like, dang, I wish I did this. No, Christina and I have been there. You've seen the pictures of us in the beginning of our show. You've seen us messed up. Life was completely different. And now we're taking, I want to say advantage, but we want to take every day and make it the best day ever. So if tonight is our last day on this earth, we go out with a bang. So that's why Christina travels. That's why she could see her mother. That's why she wants to do the things that she want to do. She go and ride a horse. Even though she says she probably don't like it, she can't say that she never did it before. She has that memory. But if she stayed in her house in Jacksonville, she would never had that memory. So that's, and she went to New York, and her partner went there with her, and she showed her the different things of New York that she never seen before. And she probably was a tourist looking around like crazy, like, oh my gosh, look at all these buildings. But if Christina never went there with her, she would never experience that. She could have heard it, and could have heard the, the expressions that her partner has, but she was there with her. She seen it. She saw her anxiety. She saw her excitement. She felt it. So that's what we're telling you guys. Feel it. Go out there and feel it, because it's not about seeing the stuff. It's about feeling the energy, being involved in it, being encompassed, being all surrounding you. That's what I love about traveling.
Yeah. And the people around you, my friend Dee Dee, who came to New York with us, who is actually who I stay with, you can't get her to go nowhere. Right. We can't get Dee Dee to go nowhere. I love you, Dee Dee Bummers. So the fact that, and she actually, the word she said is that she felt safe with me going to New York was huge. And being able to experience that and taking in that excitement, that energy that feeds you. And we have another question. So where's your next travel destination? My bed. No, I'm tired. I work. I'm tired. Well, probably Texas, the way things are looking for me.
Everything is bigger in Texas.
No, well, they haven't met Christina yet. So how about you, Greg?
I don't know. Right now, only destination I really have is Jamaica. I go there in the winter times, but before that, I don't know what I'm going to do before that actually happens. I'm available. People want to talk to me. Talk to me. I have different projects that I'm dealing with, so I could be traveling next week. I don't know, but I don't think, like Christine, I really don't think that way. I don't really plan that way, because things just happen for me. I manifested. I want to travel the world. Okay, wherever situation comes up to say, hey, you got to be here, I'm going. So the world is the world. I'm traveling the world, but I'm not going to outer space. I don't want to do that.
Well, speaking of traveling, however, one of the things I want to make sure that I bring up, not only for us, but for our viewers, is something that helps me feel a sense of security is me having my brain injury identification card. This is not a paid sponsorship. I'm letting you know. It makes me feel safe. I'll show it to you. Where is it? Here we go. So this basically is kept in my wallet. Look at you. You're so good. It's kept in my wallet or in my purse. And basically on the back of it, it's pretty self-explanatory. If something were to happen, and of course, I let the people who I'm with and spending time with know that I have it. It states, poor coordination, balance, or muscle control, blurred speech, vision, or impaired hearing, so on and so forth. It states symptoms of a brain injury to include. So it includes my name and it includes my emergency contact. It is a good idea for everyone to their perfect. Look at you. www.brainwell.com. It is free. Get a card. It takes a couple weeks to get it, but I feel like it's so essential. You include your emergency contact, their phone number. I would highly suggest that you inform the person who you make your emergency contact know, and that they're fully aware of your condition. For me personally, I have to make sure they know that I have a shunt. You can't just put me in an MRI machine. And that, I'm a brain aneurysm, that I'm blind. Yeah, that's something that makes me feel safe. We're speaking about traveling. Having that on me makes me feel safe. Knowing that if I'm in a position where I can't verbalize my condition, that they have the information of someone who can.
Yeah, I do it almost any time that I have a confrontation with someone that I can't really explain myself. I just pull up my card. I'm like, hey, man, it looks like I know what I'm talking about. It looks like I'm here, but I'm really not. Read. And that's wherever I go.
You
Because,
pull out your card.
man, I pull up my card. I don't have time for it because it frustrates me because I don't know how to articulate what I want to get across you. Because what I have noticed is there's a lot of people out there that want to be confrontational. They don't even care what the topic is. They just want to argue back and forth. And I'm not trying to argue back and forth with people. And then when you pull that out, they slow down. Especially, they look at us, and I guess this is what we'll be talking about next week, is visible disabilities. They look at us and they're like, okay, I could have that type of fight conversation with you. But then they realize we're really not all there. Then they slow down and they're like, okay, and they don't even have a problem afterward. They don't even want to have that confrontation anymore. They just move on and leave us about our business. So, yeah, this is a great card for traveling or just to speaking to people because our life is different and people don't realize how different it is unless they physically see the problems. If they don't see it, then they act accordingly. Christina, are you there? You slowed up on me, girl. Where's Christina? Christina, where are you? Well, wait, Christina comes back, we'll be good. But that's a very important thing that Christina's bringing up. This brain injury card, it's free. It's actually a law office in New York City that actually gives this. So they do also representation for people that have disabilities. So if you are looking for an actual lawyer, this is why they actually bringing this advertisement out so they can actually represent people with disabilities. Because a lot of times people with disabilities get the short end of the stick. We will be talking about that probably another episode as well. Hopefully Christina will come back. Christina, come back if we can find you. But that is a very important thing that we need to keep in our repository, our repertoire, this particular card. Traveling is a very important thing, is a very vital thing as a stroke survivor, a TBI survivor. You want to go and see the world. You do not want to be back in this situation again and cannot see the world. I don't want you to feel left out. This world is huge, it's large, and go and travel and go and explore it. Don't allow your trauma that you have from your childhood, don't allow the trauma that you have from anybody else that put on you determine how you're going to be for the rest of your life. I don't care if you cannot walk. I don't care if you can't even talk. If you want to go see things, you have a caregiver. Explain it with your caregiver. If you can't talk, write it out. Say, hey, I just want to go to the park today. Let's go outside. I just want to be outside in nature. That might be the thing you do because you probably not been outside yet since you had your stroke. And what's holding you back because there's fear. We had this thing called the pandemic for COVID-19. People didn't go outside. They were stuck inside their house. And then when they got out, they was like, oh, this is a beautiful thing. They didn't realize how much they missed outside until they was locked in. That's what we're locked in our bodies, and we can't do the things that we want to do. So now we have to move forward. So let's do that. Let's move forward. All right. I don't think my friend is coming back, so I'm gonna close this show out, and hopefully next week we'll have another interesting show for you guys. So, like we was talking about earlier, next week we're going to be having a show about invisible disabilities, dealing with those invisible disabilities. I have a lot to speak on that because people look at me and they automatically assume I could do these things just because one day I can do it and the next day I can't. That is the problem. Hey, Christina, are you back? Or did you have a blackout or something? Because it's dark over there where you are.
We're having, what'd you say, a blackout? We're having kind of a rough weather over here, so it looks like the internet was going in and out.
Okay.
I was just closing out.
I was just closing out because it's time for us to say bye-bye.
It is.
It
Hold
is,
on.
sister.
Let me turn. There we go.
Woo! And you're back. And so let it be light. And there was light. And there was light. So yeah, next week we're gonna be talking about invisible disabilities, and how people misjudge us because of our invisible disabilities, and it's so hard for us to try to explain it to other people because they can't see it. That's the most important thing for people. They see with their eyes, but not actually anything else. And I know it sounds kind of weird because you should only see with your eyes, but you also have to feel things out. You have to really understand what people are going through. So a lot of times people with mental illness, people misdiagnose them or misjudge them because there's something chemically wrong with their brain and it has passed them off. So the same thing with people with invisible disabilities. They think that we are playing games or trying to be malicious when we're really not. You know, Christina can't fake being partially blind. It is what it is. I can't tell that she's partially blind. She knows she is, and she has to explain it to me. And I have to have some kind of courtesy towards that for her. If I don't, it's going to frustrate her because she cannot explain it any way better than what she's explaining right now. If I don't listen to it, there's a problem. So, Christina, since you're back, I'll allow you to do the pleasure of closing us out.
All right. Well, make sure if you aren't, that you go ahead and follow and like and turn on your notifications. You can follow us on our YouTube, which is You're Too Young to Have a Stroke, as well as our Facebook group, which Greg was speaking about with my great posts as of late. Also on Instagram, Y2Y2, HASTORKE. And again, I want to say happy Disability Pride Month to our viewers and to you as well, Greg. And I look forward to seeing you next week, in which we'll be speaking about invisible disabilities.
Can I wear a tie again next week?
You need to give me a heads up about this dressing up thing, though. You're doing too much.
A little bit, just a little bit too much.
I think you do it because it makes you seem like nicer, like more. But it doesn't. It doesn't do it.
No, I'm just doing it to tee
I don't
you
do
off.
nothing for you.
I'm just doing it to tee you off. That's why I do it.
Nice. You look very nice, and I'm sure your reels that we'll be making and sharing next week are definitely going to be top notch. You definitely have a vacation face on. You're real smiley today. I like this. You seem relaxed. You're happy. You have good energy, and I appreciate it.
I've been recharged. I've been recharged, sis.
We like that. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm sorry about my little timeout. I did it so Greg could have a little bit time to himself since I sold the show last week. But thanks again, everyone. Have a great night. And we'll see you next week, 8 p.m. live.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night. And Destiny, thank you for commenting that we had a great show. We really appreciate you. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Buenas noches. Bye.